corporations and the ruling class talking about free market capitalism. Remember, they're simply repackaging the failed system of feudalism. And as long as the masses are subjected to feudalist systems, certain unfortunate things are going to be inevitable. Feudalism, for anybody who doesn't know, is an economic system that failed because it unsustainably placed power in the hands of landholding nobles who exploited the peasant class, which was pretty much everybody. You might notice that feudalism sounds strikingly similar to capitalism, which places power in the hands of corporate elites who unsustainably exploit the working masses of today, which is, once again, most everyone. History doesn't exactly repeat, but it sure does rhyme. The faces might change, but the game stays the same. Feudal lords became corporate CEOs and the peasants became employees, but the result is still the same. Towering castles of wealth owned by a ruling class. These systems always result in inequality, oppression, and lack of opportunity, which always leads to periods of social unrest and revolution. Often things improve for a time, but then a ruling class always seems to reacquire power and subjugate the masses. The public just united in celebration after Luigi Mangione killed a corrupt healthcare CEO, sparking media condemnation of violence and unrest. When the powerful preach nonviolence to the oppressed, it is never out of moral conviction, but self-preservation, a desperate attempt to keep the guillotines at bay. I'm going to predict that we are entering another era of guillotines. Revolutions are a reoccurring staple of feudalist systems for a reason, and whether they are peaceful or not is a matter of how the ruling class chooses to cling to power. Spoiler alert, the ruling class always chooses violence. Always. America was founded in bloody civil war that occurred because a peasant class decided to rise up against a ruling class who violently clung to power. The peasants chose muskets and guillotines for the ruling class like they always have to, and they won. The story is baked into our country's DNA. It is seemingly baked into our species' DNA. It is a story that plays on endless repeat. Maybe it doesn't have to. So here we are in the land of the free at the start of 2025. We have the hugest upward transfer of wealth in history. Women have lost sovereignty over their own bodies. Our tax dollars are going to the world's first live-streamed genocide. Corporations are forcing sick people to die unnecessarily for profit maximization. The environment is collapsing to advance capitalist interests. The president-elect is openly talking about invading countries who defy our control over their resources. America has become a relentless force for irreversible harm to the human race. And not because the people are evil, but because the ruling class conducts America as a violent empire, and we let them. This post isn't just about recognizing the vicious cycle. It's a message for all the revolutionaries out there. The ruling class bets on our apathy, but history is made by those who refuse to sleep through it. Imperialist castles only burn when the people strike the match. Here's to hoping 2025 is a year of burning castles.
All right, is there any further?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd like to make a record, if that's okay with Your Honor. First, we'd request immediate, expedited discovery in this case. The people have had this case for about almost 3 weeks, and that's more than enough time to gather as much information as they can give to us, especially now that we have two proceedings that we have to answer to, one of them being death eligible. So we are requesting that we get immediate discovery of the New York City Police Department and FBI and federal and state documents. And the second thing I want to make a record of, Your Honor, is I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials. Like every other defendant, he's entitled to a presumption of innocence. But unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated. And as you know, Your Honor, there's a wealth of case law guaranteeing his right to to a fair trial. But none of the safeguards have been put in place yet here. In fact, it's just the opposite of what's been happening. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between two warring jurisdictions here. These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea was in their arsenal. And to have all of the press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference, Your Honor? That just made it utterly political. And as Your Honor knows, under Lauro v. Charles, the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit has held it to be clearly established that these staged perp walks to the media, unrelated to a legitimate law enforcement objective, is unconstitutional. And I submit there was zero law enforcement objective to do that sort of perp walk. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. And frankly, Your Honor, the mayor should know more than anyone about the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when he dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione, and there are consequences to this. He has a right to a fair trial, and I just want to put on the record statements that the mayor made publicly about my client. Nothing saying alleged, for example, and he said, "I wanted to send a strong message with the police commissioner that we're leading from the front. I'm not going to just allow him to come into our city. I wanted to look him in the eye and state, you carried out this terrorist act in my city, the city of New York that I love." And he wanted to show symbolism. Your Honor, he's not a symbol. He's somebody who is afforded the right to a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the mayor was talking to jurors, future potential jurors that elected him. Those are the people that elected him, that he is talking to and calling this man a terrorist. So, Your Honor, I just want to make a record of this and put everyone on notice that this has to stop. And my client is entitled to a fair trial and the presumption of innocence. And we're going to fight these charges, whether it's in the state or federal.
Welcome to another episode of Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. This is one of the next to the last episodes of the year. This is the end of the year. And I wanted to put that in the record because this was like a weekend wrap up. So that I wanted to replay that happened this week. Also, the video before that, the young man was explaining about us being in a form of feudalism. That being said, I played that because Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Laura Loomer are in knockout, duke out fight all over Twitter. Now, I still technically have not deleted my Twitter, not for the first time since election. I just opened it up because I was just following their tweets and everything. So basically, Elon is wielding his power as a feudal lord over his subjects, over the peasant subjects. Mind you, I want to remind everybody, he's not even American. But just because the simple fact that he has money, he gets to roll over everybody in this country, and everybody is bowing down to him because of money. Vivek Ramaswamy, he is one of those immigrants I just really have no tolerance for. My parents were part of the civil rights movement. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again because Vivek Ramaswamy is a product of my parents' hard work. If it wasn't for them in the civil rights movement, his parents would not have been allowed in America. to give him the life that he has, for him to turn around and disrespect, especially black people in this country. So immigrants like that come over here and do not give respect to the black Americans that fought and marched and died during the civil rights movement, to give them the right to be here. I don't have any tolerance for immigrants like that. Laura Loomer is I'm not a certified psychiatrist, but she does have some good points here. So she says nobody can afford to live off of $70,000 a year. This is her responding to Elon Musk in today's America. Stop crying about declining birth rates when you want us to live like a bunch of welfare queens. Can't have a family and keep having more kids while making $70,000 a year and also working 80 hours a week. You can make more money working 40 hours a week in overtime at McDonald's each year. So Laura Lumen, then she puts up her, the stats because she went onto the H1B salary database and she pulled up the stats here for Tesla, So Elon threw a hissy fit and he decided that he would uh, take away her blue check and her subscription status. Sorry, because it is funny. So I'm gonna flip this around. I'm gonna flip this around so you can see this article here. This is from Unprecedented, and the title of the article is "The MAGA Within." Let me open this here, if you can see that. MAGA meets the enemy within. So Elon Musk's Christmas message that Americans are useless months not worth investing in and didn't go over well in MAGA world. So now the MAGA people are upset because Elon basically said that all Americans are worthless. Same with Vivek Ramaswamy. You know, they're saying that to train the Americans to do the jobs that they're not willing to pay. They're not willing to pay a living wage because the Americans can do the jobs, but they have to be paid to do the job. So Elon and Ramaswamy, they want to bring in H1B visa recipients so they could pay them lower pay, and they call them like the better immigrants. I mean, immigrant here, Elon Musk, South Africa, please take him back. And Ramaswamy, immigrant. He says investing in Americans is actually hard, really hard. It costs money and time and effort to make a person productive. It's a short term net loss. It's much easier to bring in skilled workers who might not do quite a good job, but will work for a fraction of the cost and be happy just to be here. Point exactly. My point exactly. They just want to exploit just for their bottom line. Now, there's one way. I'm not going to read this whole article, but I will link it in the description for you guys to read for your on your own. There's one way to fix a lot of this nonsense, and I just really wish people would realize that we collectively have power. That if we stopped participating in capitalism, our money is going to this guy and guys like him. Jeff Bezos is getting ready to have a $600 million wedding. I personally don't have Amazon Prime. I don't subscribe to anything Amazon. I don't use Amazon or anything associated with it, but I'm only one person. So collectively, if people would not participate in capitalism, only get your necessities, because unfortunately we have to pay bills, we have to get groceries, we have to get our necessities. Other than that, I'm just suggesting, you know, keeping the extra money that you were going to spend on something to put money into their pockets. I just kind of would suggest um, thinking twice about that, unless you really want to give these guys money so that they can lord over us. Because I am not going to bow down to them. I personally am not going to bow down to them or the likes of them or whoever it is that's coming into this regime. I don't care how much money they have. I'm not bowing down to them personally. So I actively do what I can to not participate, you know. Um, so I just wish that we would collectively get out of our comfort to try to do something. Like, I'm going to keep up bringing up the South Koreans. They're still fighting. They're still fighting to get keep their democracy together. Um, this last article I'm going to flip around here is about it's a poll that was done about how Americans feel about the healthcare system. So, most Americans blame insurance profits. Let's see here. Blame insurance profits and denials alongside the killer and UHC CEO death, poll finds. So, what are your thoughts on this? Like, I'll link this also in the description so you can read the article yourself. But I honestly would like to hear your stories, share your stories, so we could keep sharing them, because we need to keep humanizing everyone that has been a victim of this system. Because if we stop talking about it, they're gonna, they're already back at business as usual. But we need to keep talking about it and sharing our stories and humanizing each other, so we could try to make some kind of changes. Right now it seems like everybody in our government is on vacation, so it's up to us. Nobody's coming to save us or anything like that. So I will link this. I will do one more podcast before the end of the month. Today is Friday. Da, 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 da. So I'll probably do Tuesday. That's the last day of the year. So I'll do one more podcast, and again, I am in I'm doing a fundraiser, and all of your support is greatly appreciated. If you could help keep us thriving through to the new year, it helps a whole lot. It helps us with covering hosting fees, creating meaningful content, and your contributions have made that possible. Uh, Keeping us hanging on in this economy. And I want to get more feedback from you guys also. So you let me know what you want to talk about in the new year. If you have any questions, any suggestions, become a VIP subscriber. That helps a lot too. So you get a lot of perks and behind the scenes things and merch if you become a VIP subscriber as well. So like and share. That's very important. If you thumbs up the video, just thumbs it up. That helps with the algorithm, and that'll help us get our message out further. And I will see you guys on the next show, which will be next week maybe. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will just remember to leave your comments. We have a voicemail also. So call in, leave your messages. We'd like to hear your voices, hear what you have to say. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.